How's everybody doing? Brother Carl, would you mind going in there and letting me know we're getting ready to start? Because I can hear all that noise. I know my wife's right in the middle of it. I can tell. Yeah. Hey, Aubrey, how you doing? Let me give them just a minute to get in here. Good to see you. Everybody ready for Thanksgiving? I'm as ready as I'm going to get. Just as long as my wife has the meal ready and cooked and delivered on Thanksgiving, everything is good. Don't tell her I said that. Good, good. That's awesome. That's awesome. Take your Bibles and turn to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I'll get there in just a minute. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. I really hope today's lesson is a help to those that need help. Many people, and we probably all do, have scars in life caused by being hurt by other people. It's a consistent theme in humanity, that people hurt people. Today, I hope to help place some salve on the wounds that people have in their life and help them get on the way to healing. One of the wonderful things about life and getting older is you get to see a lot happen. And if you're listening and looking with eyes to understand, you quickly learn that everyone has hurts in life. People have been hurt by others. And I think the question easily becomes, what are we going to do with the hurt that we have in life? If you'd look at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, beginning at verse number 1, that would be wonderful. Hey, Brother Mike. Look forward to hearing you preach. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse number 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. We all have hurts in our life, every one of us. But we need to understand there is a time to heal, no matter the hurt that we have in life. A time to heal. I don't know the specifics of everybody's life here. I know some people fairly well. But even the ones I know fairly well, I don't know all the hurts that you have in life. The scars that are in your life because of things that people have done to you. I don't know them all, but I do know this. Every person in this room today has hurts and scars from what other people have done to them. The hurt may have come from a parent, and I could tell you stories about parents who have done wrong to their kids. The hurts may have come from a sibling or a friend. For you see, that is life. That is just life. It takes time to heal. But I think the question really becomes, what are we going to do with the hurt that we have in our life? I think we would be surprised and we would never do this, but we would be surprised if we found out the hurt that person has, and the hurt that person has in life, and the hurt that person has in life. It takes time to heal. It takes time to heal physically. It takes time to heal mentally. It takes time to heal emotionally. When I was 10 years old, so long, long time ago, 55 years ago, I had surgery on this right ear. sometime prior to me being 10, this eardrum had ruptured, and when the ear doctor looked at it, there was only half of an eardrum there. It had happened who knows when. So they had surgery scheduled, and I went in, and they shaved this part of my head. I was a cool-looking 10-year-old with just this side of my head shaved. And they actually grafted skin, cut off a slice of skin here, and made an eardrum. The bad thing is, after the surgery, I was in the hospital for 3 or 4 days, 5 days maybe, and they sent me home. And they said, Jeff, you can do nothing for 3 months. You try telling a 10-year-old boy that. That was a hard thing. For 3 months, all I could do was lay in bed and walk very gingerly to the couch, because any sudden movement would break that eardrum apart. But in time, after the 3 months, it's as if I never had a problem. Time had healed that. Healing in our life with the problems that we have takes time, but it will be very painful. But we will get better in time if we do the right things. Without being really graphic about this, and I would never be graphic, I know a lady that suffered tremendous abuse as a girl, tremendous abuse. It would be nauseating if I told you. It certainly affected her life. It changed how she lived life. And it created other problems in her life. She just couldn't get over it. And it led to her making decisions that compounded problems in her life. But in time, because she intentionally worked on the hurt, she healed. She forgave the person that committed those atrocities in her life. And today, if you talk to this person, you would never know the awful things that happened to her. The scars of hurt are real. When we get hurt by another person, I think we often wonder, can I ever get over this? I have to tell you, life is short, but life is long enough to heal from the problems, the hurts that have been inflicted on us. We can get over the wounds of life. We will heal if our mind is rehabilitated and our heart is rehabilitated. But we have to know, going in to fighting the problem, the wound, the scars that we have to know going in, it's going to take time. I won't rehash the stories that I told last week about stepmother number one. There are many more stories that I could tell about stepmother number one and stepmother number two and stepmother number three. But I can tell you from experience, if you want to heal your wound, you can. You can. Hang in there, pray, fight the battle, and you can come out on top. So how do you heal over time? How do you heal from the thing that just occupies your mind incessantly, where no matter what happens, it's always back there in the back of your mind? How do you heal from that? Number one, and you're going to think, this is really simplistic. Hang with me on this first point. Forget about it. I can't forget about it. Forget about it. I'm certainly not saying that it's easy. I'm certainly not saying that it will leave your mind. I can remember all those things from 55 years ago. I can remember them. But I can let it go. I can make it where it ceases to be always in the forefront of my mind. We can't let it go today if it happened yesterday, but we can let it go. Do you want to? Do you want to recover from the wound and the scars that others have put on your life? Do you want to let it go? We should be working to forget it, to let it go, so it doesn't dominate my thinking. I wrote a white paper for the business that I worked in for decades. The white paper was on business competition. It was an extensive paper. I mean, it was about 75 to 80 type pages long that included a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It had a competitor analysis on it. It had made suggestions for how to maximize our profits. I outlined steps that we should take to take advantage of our strengths. My boss took it, and he presented it to the board of directors and claimed it as his own. That thing took me months to put together. I was mad. I couldn't look at him with respect anymore. But in time, because I decided that that is not going to affect my relationship with him, I put it out of my mind, and I forgot it. Did I know that it happened? Yeah, but I forgot it. And I worked on fulfilling my other responsibilities. Take your Bibles and turn to Genesis chapter 27. Forget it. Put it out of your mind. Genesis chapter 27 and verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said into his heart, hurt? Do you see the hurt? Do you see the wound? The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. And these words of Esau, her elder son, was told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, purposing to kill thee. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee thou to Laban my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him a few days until thy brother's fury turn away, until thy brother's anger turn away from thee, and he forget that which thou hast done to him. Then I will send and fetch thee from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? Esau was wronged by his brother Jacob. He was hurt by somebody close to him. And let me just add this. Most of the time, when we get hurt, when we have wounds in life, when we have wounds that turn into scars in life, it is by somebody that we know and love. It will do us wonders to forget and get over the problem that has been done on us. When Esau met Jacob, 20 years after this, after he had stole his birthright, look at Genesis 33 and verse number 4. 20 years later, and Esau ran to meet him. And I thought he hated him. Thought he wanted to kill him. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Let it go. It will take time. I understand. Work on letting it go. I came to the realization that everything that has happened to me in life, all the stepmom situations, all the other issues that I could go into, I came to the realization that everything that has happened to me in life has had a part in making me who you see today. Now, I am nothing, but I went through exactly what God wanted me to go through in life. Nothing happened to me without him saying, yep, that's okay. I now know I needed all those things in life. I needed them to help mold me the way he wanted me to be molded as a 35-year-old man 30 years ago. My father asked me and my siblings to come over to his house, that he wanted to talk to us. In that conversation, he apologized for all that he allowed me and my siblings to go through. It was heartfelt. He meant it. And I told him, I said, Dad, I forgave you a long time ago. I don't think about those things with anger and hate towards you. It's as if they never happened. And I told him, I believe God allowed me to go through everything in life that I needed, that God used all that in my life to form me the way he wanted Jeff formed, so that I could help others who have the same situations in life. And I cannot tell you how many times I've been able to talk to people who grew up in a very crazy home. I can't tell you the number. God allowed that for me to help them. When the pain subsides from the wounds that you've endured in life, when that pain subsides, it becomes hard to remember the events that caused our pain. Oh, I can go back, and what I've done for the last 2 lessons, go back and pull those things out. But I can tell you, the pain isn't there anymore. It's just an obscure event that I can go back and recall. Get on with life and forget it. Forget the problems and scars that have been inflicted upon you. Forget them. Number 2, consider what God is doing. Where do I get that from? Experiencing God. Brother Mike gave me a book, I don't know how many years ago, a long time ago. Experiencing God, wonderful book. And it really is in line with this second point. Consider what God is doing in your life by allowing the problems that you've had to face that caused wounds in your life. Consider what God is doing. We don't think about God in those bad situations. Surely it was the devil that allowed those things to happen, and it may have been. But often, God allows those things to happen in our life. Look at Genesis chapter 45. In verse number 5. Now therefore, be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. Joseph made a statement. For many years, he had been watching God work in his life. In Genesis 37, He was 17 years old and was sold into slavery. In Genesis 41, he was now 30 years old, standing before Pharaoh. In Genesis 41, verse 53, he had seen 7 years of plenty fly by. And now 2 years of famine. 22 years since he was that 17-year-old boy who was sold into slavery. I don't imagine, as he's 17 and he's walking to Egypt, thank the Lord, I know the Lord's going to do something great for me. No. What is going on? Lord, I trust you, but what's happening? You see my brothers, what they just did to me? Can you see the wound that they've created in my heart? And then he gets to Potiphar's. There's more wounds. There's more scars that have happened in his life. And time goes on. And he begins to see what God is doing in his life. And turn to Genesis chapter 50. I want you to see this. In Genesis chapter 50, Joseph was fully over all the hurt and the wounds that he had in life. Genesis 50, verse 20. But as for you, you thought evil against me. Do you think any time along those 22 years that he thought that God thought evil against him? Guarantee you did. Evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore fear ye not, I will nourish you. Hold on. He's going to nourish the ones that hurt him. There's a wonderful lesson for us to see here. We can hold that bitterness, and it's going to do nothing but hurt me. Or I can look to understand that God is involved in this thing, and I'm going to nourish those that hurt me. There's a word for that. It's called Christian. That's what it's called, Christian. And he comforted them and spake kindly to them. Sometimes a horrible wound has God written all over it. But do we see it like that? I thank the Lord the day I realized all that has God on it. And it changed my outlook on life. It changed how I saw those people. It changed my actions towards those people and others. And in the long run, it changed me for the better. Changed me for the better. We have to know God is involved with it, or we will miss what God is doing in our life. If we continue to stew over those issues, bitterness will set in. And I got to tell you, from about a 12, 13-year-old boy until mid-20s, late 20s, I was bitter and hard to get along with. Don't you say a thing. And when we get bitter, we keep digging the ground out under our feet. We dig that pit of despair, and it gets deeper and deeper, and we are causing it. We are the cause for that thing getting deeper and deeper in life. Please consider what God is doing in your life because of the hurt that He has allowed to enter into your life. Number 3, continue to attend to ministry, to working for God. Look at 2 Timothy chapter 4. 2 Timothy chapter 4. I'm talking about how to overcome the hurt in our life. And every one of us have that. Every one of us. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 11. Only Luke is with me. Take Mark and bring him with thee, for he is profitable to me for the ministry. Oh man, Paul must have thought so much of John Mark. He must have thought so much of him. Like, wow, you're calling me? My goodness, what accolades he could have said about John Mark. Turn over to Acts chapter 15. No, he didn't think highly of John Mark. The contention was so sharp between Paul and Barnabas that they actually argued and split up over this guy named John Mark. Acts 15, verse 37, and Barnabas determined to take with them John, whose surname was Mark. But Paul thought not good to take him with them, who departed from them. He left them in the middle of the battle. He left them, who departed from them from Pamphylia, and went not with them to the work. He's a quitter, is what Paul thought about him. He's a quitter. And this, contention was so sharp between them that they departed asunder one from another. The contention between Barnabas and Paul. It was an argument. But there's something that we can learn from this. When difficulties, when wounds, when contentions happen between us, there's something that both Paul and Barnabas did. They stayed in the ministry. I have a problem with you, but I'm going to keep working for him. They continued serving and striving to serve the Lord. Some people get wounded in church, at Calvary Baptist Church, and quit and get out. You're not going to heal that way. If you get wounded and you quit on God, you're not going to heal that way. We'll get bitter and we'll stay bitter. Again, I've been here 38, 39 years, long time. I have seen countless examples of exactly what I'm seeing right now. People who fellowshipped here, who served here, who taught Sunday school here, who worked on buses here. I ran into them after they left the ministry, after they left serving God. I ran into them years later. And when I see them, this is what they do. I'm not talking to your forehead. So what's happened? What's going on in your life? I got hurt. I don't want to get hurt again. So I quit. That's not the way to get better. And their lives proved it. When you get hurt, stay doing what you're doing for God. Stay at it. Don't stop. If we keep our mind on ministering for the Lord, working for the Lord, doing the Lord's work like Paul did, rather than our mind on what people did to me, who have hurt me in the ministry. If we get our mind on the ministry and not on the people, we will heal. God will help us to forget and to heal the hurt in our lives. We can't quit, church. We can't quit on God's people. Brother McCullough, you have been in the ministry a long time. I know. I've been around here long enough to know people have hurt you. I know that. I don't know any specific situation, but I guarantee you people have hurt you. Brother Mike, I know. Don't know any specific situation, but I know people have hurt you too. I know that because that's how people are. That's what people do. We cannot stop doing what we should be doing for the Lord. Pull up your britches, buckle your belt, and keep going. Just because somebody hurt you in church, and by the way, people have hurt me in this church, have said things that aren't even remotely true. Like, where do you get that from? But I decided I'm serving him. I'm not serving adoration from anybody else or what anybody thinks of me. I'm going to keep going no matter what. Number 4. Turn to Proverbs chapter 13. Quit talking about it. I'm a really good example of that this morning, aren't I? Quit talking about it. Proverbs 13, verse 3. He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. We can never get over the hurt and the wound by continuing to talk about it. I think we need to follow Jesus' example. You don't need to turn there for time's sake. I'll read it in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 23. He just kept quiet. Who, when he was reviled not again. When he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judgeth righteously. I can't do anything about what anybody says about me. And there have been more than one, probably more than 10 times, I've just had to say, Lord, you know the truth. I'm going to let you handle it. And by the way, every time, he handles it. Every time. In those hurting situations, we don't need to explain our side. We don't need to build battle lines between me and that person to defend myself or to run down the people that have hurt me. Just shut up, Jeff. Keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. And there's something that the Lord does when I do that. He heals my mind towards them every time. So as Solomon said, here's the conclusion to the whole matter. We have time to heal. The hurt that you have right now, we have time to heal. Look forward to the healing that he will give you. And time alone won't heal unless we minimally do these 4 things. Forget about it. Consider what God is doing in your life through the problem, the hurt that you had to go through. Keep working for the Lord, attend to ministry, and quit talking about it. If you will do those things, I promise you, the hurt that you experience in your life right now will fade away into a distant memory. And you will be a more happy, content, joyful person when that happens. Father, be with us. Thank you for your word. Thank you that we can look to your word for guidance in life through the most horrendous parts of life. I pray, Father, that we would all heed what your word says regarding the hurts that we experience. Bless our folks here. Bless them today. In Jesus' name, amen.